Have you ever wondered how an ordinary mountain could be hiding millions of dollars worth of gemstones, and yet almost no one knows they're there? Across Canada, forgotten mines lie buried beneath forests, snow, and abandoned roads. Some once produced world-class jade, amethysts, sapphires, and emeralds, before mysteriously fading into history. Others were abandoned just as geologists believed they were on the verge of making an extraordinary discovery. Even more surprising, some of these hidden deposits may still contain gemstones waiting to be found today. In this countdown, we're uncovering 10 of Canada's forgotten gemstone mines, revealing what made them famous, why they were abandoned, how to recognize the gemstones they produced, and the fascinating stories that most people have never heard. If you enjoy discovering hidden history, incredible geology, and the world's rarest natural treasures, take a second to subscribe, give this video a like, and share it with someone who loves exploring the secrets of our planet. Your support helps us continue bringing you remarkable stories that deserve to be remembered. Now let's travel deep into Canada's wild landscapes and begin our countdown with a forgotten jade district that once supplied some of the finest nephrite ever discovered. Number 10. Cassiar Jade District, British Columbia. We begin our journey in one of Canada's most forgotten gemstone regions, the legendary Cassiar Jade District in northern British Columbia. Hidden among rugged mountains and dense wilderness, this remote area once produced enormous quantities of nephrite jade, a gemstone that has been admired for thousands of years for its beauty, strength, and cultural significance. One of the easiest ways to recognize nephrite jade is by its remarkable toughness. Unlike many gemstones that can crack under impact, nephrite's tightly interwoven crystal structure makes it incredibly durable. In its rough form, however, it rarely looks valuable. Most pieces appear as dark green, grayish green, or even nearly black boulders with a dull, weathered surface. Unless you know what you're looking for, you could easily walk right past a fortune without realizing it. When polished, the transformation is extraordinary. The stone develops a rich, waxy luster and reveals beautiful shades ranging from creamy green to deep emerald-like tones. Some specimens even display subtle cloud-like patterns that collectors prize because every piece is completely unique. The rise of the Cassiar jade industry brought prospectors, heavy equipment, and international buyers into this isolated region. Yet over time, changing markets, rising operating costs, and the area's extreme climate caused many smaller mining operations to disappear, leaving behind silent roads, abandoned camps, and forgotten claims hidden in the wilderness. What makes this story so fascinating is that the jade itself never disappeared. Much of it is still there, locked inside the mountains, waiting for someone with the knowledge and perhaps a little luck to discover it. Now I'd love to hear your opinion. If you stumbled across a rough green boulder while hiking, would you stop to examine it, or would you assume it was just another ordinary rock? And here's the bigger question. Do you think nature should leave these forgotten gemstone deposits untouched, or should people reopen them to uncover the treasures still hidden underground? Share your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to see where this discussion goes. Number 9. Shunia Amethyst Mines, Ontario. Our next stop takes us to the northern shores of Lake Superior, where a quiet stretch of Ontario hides one of Canada's most colorful, forgotten gemstone stories. The Shunia Amethyst Mines were once part of a thriving mining district that supplied spectacular purple amethyst to jewelers, collectors, and museums around the world. Today, many of those small mines have faded into history, leaving only scattered remnants of an industry that once flourished. At first glance, rough amethyst doesn't always look impressive. It is usually found inside volcanic rock, where millions of years of mineral-rich fluids slowly filled underground cavities with quartz crystals. As traces of natural iron became trapped inside the growing crystals and were later exposed to radiation deep within the earth, the quartz developed its famous purple color. The deeper and more even the color, the more desirable the gemstone becomes. One of the easiest ways to recognize natural amethyst is by its crystal shape. Look for six-sided quartz crystals ending in sharp points, often growing together inside hollow rock cavities known as geodes. Some Shunia specimens display a rich royal purple that gradually fades into clear quartz near the base, creating a beautiful natural color transition that collectors love because it cannot be perfectly replicated by nature every time. For decades, families operated small mines throughout this region, and visitors could even watch fresh crystals being uncovered from solid rock. But as commercial mining declined and many operations closed, the area slowly slipped out of the spotlight. While a handful of sites remain open to tourists today, countless old workings have been reclaimed by forests, making it difficult to imagine that this peaceful landscape was once alive with miners searching for glittering purple treasure. Perhaps that's what makes Shunia so remarkable. It reminds us that some of Canada's greatest gemstone discoveries weren't made in giant industrial mines. They were made by ordinary people who recognized something extraordinary hidden inside an ordinary rock. So here's a question for you. If you had the chance to dig for your own amethyst, would you keep the crystal exactly as you found it, preserving its natural beauty? Or would you have it professionally cut into a sparkling gemstone for jewelry? There isn't a right or wrong answer, and I'm curious to see which side you choose. Let us know in the comments. Number 8. Bancroft Beryl and Aquamarine Mines, Ontario. Our next destination brings us to Bancroft, Ontario, a place many geologists proudly call Canada's mineral capital. While thousands of visitors come here searching for colorful crystals every year, few realize that this region was once home to several remarkable beryl and aquamarine mines that have largely disappeared from public attention. Beryl is one of the world's most fascinating gemstone families. Depending on the trace elements locked inside its crystal structure, the very same mineral can produce completely different gems. Green beryl becomes emerald, while blue beryl is known as aquamarine. In Bancroft, nature favored the beautiful blue variety, creating crystals that form deep inside enormous pegmatite veins over hundreds of millions of years. Learning to recognize rough aquamarine can be surprisingly simple once you know what to look for. Unlike many gemstones that appear rounded after weathering, aquamarine often grows as long, six-sided hexagonal crystals with naturally flat sides and smooth faces. Even before polishing, some crystals display a soft, icy blue color that resembles crystal-clear glacial water. The clearer the crystal and the fewer internal fractures it contains, the more valuable it can become. During the mid-20th century, Bancroft experienced a true mineral boom. Prospectors, collectors, and mining companies explored the surrounding hills in search of gem-quality beryl, and many impressive specimens eventually found their way into museums and private collections around the world. But as richer deposits became harder to find and mining costs continued to rise, many of these small operations gradually closed, leaving behind quiet forest trails, abandoned pits, and forgotten stories hidden beneath the trees. What makes Bancroft so special isn't just the gemstones themselves. It's the lesson they teach. Some of Earth's most beautiful treasures don't come from famous diamond mines or billion-dollar operations. Sometimes they begin as a pale blue crystal growing silently inside an ordinary-looking rock, waiting millions of years for someone to notice it. Now here's something I'd love to hear from you. If you could own just one blue gemstone, which would you choose? A natural aquamarine with its calm, ocean blue beauty, or a deep, royal blue sapphire? And more importantly, which one do you think nature created in the more fascinating way? Share your answer in the comments because I have a feeling this one could spark quite a debate. Number 7. Black Donald Corundum District, Ontario. Our next forgotten destination takes us to the Black Donald Corundum District in eastern Ontario, a place that played a surprisingly important role in Canada's early mining history. Long before most people had even heard of synthetic abrasives, this region was producing one of the hardest natural minerals ever discovered, corundum. Many people know corundum by its famous gemstone names, ruby and sapphire. But here's something that often surprises collectors. Ruby and sapphire are not different minerals at all. They are simply different colors of the exact same crystal. When corundum contains traces of chromium, it becomes the rich red gemstone we call ruby. When elements such as iron and titanium are present, it can transform into blue sapphire or appear in shades of yellow, pink, green, or even nearly colorless. If you ever come across rough corundum in nature, there are a few clues that can help identify it. The crystals are usually short and barrel-shaped rather than long and pointed, and they often display six-sided symmetry. More importantly, corundum ranks an incredible 9 on the Mohs hardness scale, making it second only to diamond. That exceptional hardness allowed much of the material mined at Black Donald to be used for grinding wheels, cutting tools, and industrial equipment instead of fine jewelry. During the late 1800s and early 1900s, the district became one of the world's leading sources of industrial corundum. Mining communities grew quickly, railways transported tons of ore, and the future looked promising. But everything changed with the arrival of high-quality synthetic abrasives. As cheaper manufactured materials entered the market, demand for natural corundum collapsed, and one mine after another quietly closed. Today, nature has reclaimed much of the area, leaving only scattered traces of an industry that was once considered essential. Perhaps that's the greatest lesson from Black Donald. A mineral can be incredibly valuable in one generation and almost forgotten in the next. Not because the stone changed, but because technology changed the world around it. So here's a question for you. If someone handed you a rough piece of corundum that looked dull and ordinary, would you rather leave it exactly as nature created it? Or would you cut and polish it in the hope of revealing a hidden sapphire or ruby inside? I'd love to hear your answer, because opinions on this are often surprisingly divided. Number 6. Blue River Sapphire Prospects, British Columbia. Our next stop takes us deep into the rugged mountains of British Columbia, where the Blue River region has intrigued geologists for decades. Unlike the famous sapphire fields of Australia or Sri Lanka, this is not a place filled with large commercial mines. Instead, it is a landscape of promise, a region where scattered sapphire discoveries have repeatedly suggested that something much larger may still be hidden beneath the mountains. Sapphires belong to the corundum family, the same mineral as ruby, but their colors can vary far beyond the classic royal blue. Depending on the trace elements present during formation, sapphires may appear in shades of blue, yellow, green, pink, or even colorless. In the Blue River area, most discoveries have consisted of small blue crystals preserved within ancient metamorphic rocks and stream gravels that have been shaped by glaciers over thousands of years. One interesting way to recognize rough sapphire is by its crystal form. Unlike quartz, which often grows into long pointed crystals, sapphire usually forms shorter, more compact crystals with flat faces and a slightly rounded appearance. Even in rough condition, the surface often has a subtle glass-like sheen, and the stone feels surprisingly heavy for its size because of its high density. Over the years, several exploration projects identified encouraging sapphire-bearing zones. Every new discovery sparked excitement, with some believing Blue River could become Canada's next major gemstone district. But difficult terrain, unpredictable weather, and the enormous cost of developing remote mountain infrastructure prevented large-scale mining from becoming a reality. As exploration slowed, the excitement gradually faded, and Blue River quietly became one of Canada's forgotten gemstone prospects. Yet that mystery is exactly what keeps geologists fascinated. The mountains have never revealed all of their secrets. Every field season brings the possibility that another hidden sapphire-bearing zone could emerge, proving that this forgotten district still has stories left to tell. Now, I'd like to ask you something. If geological surveys suggested there might be millions of dollars worth of sapphires hidden beneath a protected mountain valley, should mining companies be allowed to develop the area, or should the landscape remain untouched for future generations? It's a difficult balance between conservation and discovery, and I'd love to hear where you stand in the comments. Number 5. Emerald Lake Pegmatites, Yukon. Halfway through our countdown, we travel to Canada's remote Yukon territory, where vast wilderness stretches for hundreds of miles with barely a road in sight. Hidden among these ancient mountains are the Emerald Lake Pegmatites, a little-known geological area that has intrigued mineral explorers for decades. While it never became a famous commercial gemstone mine, the discoveries made here proved that some of Canada's most beautiful crystals can be found in the most unexpected places. To understand why this location is so special, it helps to know what a pegmatite is. Pegmatites are extremely coarse-grained igneous rocks formed during the final stages of cooling magma. Because the minerals have so much time and space to grow, they often produce unusually large crystals. Around Emerald Lake, these pegmatites have yielded minerals such as beryl, tourmaline, garnet, smoky quartz, and on rare occasions, green beryl that hinted at the possibility of emerald-quality material. One of the easiest ways to recognize beryl in the field is its distinctive crystal shape. Unlike many minerals that break into irregular fragments, beryl commonly forms long, six-sided hexagonal crystals with remarkably smooth faces. Even rough specimens can display pale green, bluish, or golden hues. While most of the material discovered in this region was not transparent enough for fine jewelry, each crystal offered valuable clues about the geological conditions that can create world-class gemstones. Exploration teams spent years studying these pegmatites, hoping to uncover deposits large enough to support commercial mining. But the Yukon is one of the most challenging places on Earth to operate. Short summers, freezing winters, rugged mountains, and enormous transportation costs meant that even promising discoveries were often left undeveloped. Eventually, interest shifted elsewhere, and the Emerald Lake pegmatites quietly faded from the spotlight. Yet perhaps that's what makes this forgotten location so fascinating. It reminds us that not every important gemstone discovery becomes a famous mine. Sometimes the greatest value lies in what scientists learn about the Earth itself. Knowledge that may one day lead to entirely new discoveries hidden beneath Canada's northern wilderness. So here's a question for you. If you were leading an exploration team and found signs of emerald-bearing rock deep in the Yukon, would you invest millions of dollars searching for a major deposit, or would the risks of such a remote location simply be too great? Let me know your answer in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of decision that has divided geologists and investors for decades. Number 4, Quebec labradorite quarries. As we move closer to the top of our list, we arrive in Quebec, home to one of Canada's most mesmerizing gemstones, labradorite. Unlike gemstones that impress with brilliant sparkle, labradorite captivates people in an entirely different way. At first glance, it often looks like nothing more than an ordinary gray rock. But with just the right angle of light, it suddenly erupts into flashes of electric blue, emerald green, golden yellow, and even fiery orange, creating an optical effect unlike almost any other mineral on Earth. This spectacular phenomenon is known as labradorescence. It isn't caused by pigments or surface coatings. Instead, it occurs because microscopic layers inside the crystal bend and scatter light, causing different colors to appear and disappear as the stone moves. It's almost as if the gemstone has its own hidden light source trapped deep inside. If you're trying to identify natural labradorite, one simple trick is to slowly rotate the stone under a bright light. A genuine specimen won't sparkle like a diamond. Instead, broad sheets of vivid color will sweep across the surface, often vanishing completely before suddenly reappearing from another angle. That magical play of color is one of the clearest signs you found authentic labradorite. During the 20th century, several quarries across Quebec supplied this remarkable stone to jewelers, sculptors, and architectural designers around the world. Large polished slabs decorated luxury buildings, while smaller pieces became popular in handcrafted jewelry. But as demand shifted and many smaller quarries became uneconomical, several operations gradually closed, leaving behind quiet excavation sites slowly reclaimed by nature. What makes these forgotten quarries so remarkable is that they completely change the way we think about beauty. Labradorite proves that a gemstone doesn't need to be perfectly transparent or brilliantly faceted to be extraordinary. Sometimes the greatest beauty only appears when light reveals what has been hidden all along. Now I'm curious about your opinion. If you could choose only one gemstone, would you prefer a perfectly clear diamond that sparkles constantly, or a mysterious labradorite that seems to come alive only when the light strikes it at exactly the right angle? Which one feels more magical to you? Share your choice in the comments, because this debate has fascinated gemstone lovers for years. Number 3, Tanco Pegmatite, Manitoba. Breaking into our top 3 is one of Canada's most extraordinary geological discoveries, the Tanco Pegmatite in Manitoba. At first glance, it may not seem like a traditional gemstone mine. In fact, it became world famous for producing rare industrial minerals such as lithium, cesium, and tantalum. But hidden within this giant pegmatite was another treasure that fascinated geologists and collectors alike. Spectacular gemstone-quality crystals that formed under some of the rarest geological conditions on Earth. What makes pegmatites so remarkable is the way they cool. Unlike ordinary magma, The mineral-rich fluids inside a pegmatite remain liquid much longer, giving crystals time to grow to incredible sizes. That is why Tanco has produced beautiful tourmaline, beryl, spodumene, and other rare mineral specimens, many of which now sit in museums and private collections around the world rather than jewelry stores. One of the most fascinating gemstones found here is tourmaline. Unlike most gemstones, tourmaline can display several colors within a single crystal. It's not unusual to find crystals that begin with a pink core, transition into clear zones, and finish with deep green outer layers. Collectors often call these watermelon tourmalines because their colors resemble slices of the fruit. Every crystal records tiny changes in temperature and chemistry that occurred millions of years ago while it was growing beneath the Earth's surface. Although Tanco became internationally famous, gemstone production was never its primary purpose. The mine focused on strategic industrial minerals that were far more valuable to modern technology. As mining priorities changed over the years and parts of the operation were scaled back, fewer gemstone specimens reached the collector's market, making high-quality crystals from Tanco increasingly difficult to obtain. Perhaps that's what makes this place so unforgettable. It reminds us that some of the world's finest gemstones are discovered almost by accident while searching for something entirely different. Sometimes the greatest treasure isn't the one people set out to find, it's the one they never expected to uncover. Now, I'd like to hear what you think. If you owned a mine like Tanco, would you focus on extracting the minerals that power smartphones, electric vehicles, and modern technology? Or would you preserve more of the rare gemstone crystals for future generations to admire? Which do you believe holds the greater long-term value? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I think this one will divide opinions. Number 2. Ice River Garnet Deposits, British Columbia. We're now down to the final 2, and our next forgotten location takes us into the breathtaking Canadian Rockies of British Columbia. Hidden within this dramatic mountain landscape lies the Ice River Garnet Deposits, a place few people have ever heard of, yet one that has quietly fascinated geologists for generations. While it never became a world-famous gemstone mine, the area revealed that Canada's mountains still hold remarkable treasures waiting to be understood. When most people hear the word garnet, they immediately picture a dark red gemstone. But that is only part of the story. Garnets actually exist in an incredible range of colors, including orange, green, yellow, pink, purple, and even rare color-changing varieties. The Ice River deposits are best known for producing deep red garnets that formed under immense heat and pressure as ancient rocks were transformed deep beneath the Earth's crust hundreds of millions of years ago. One useful way to recognize natural garnet is by its crystal shape. Unlike quartz, which often grows into long, six-sided crystals, garnet commonly forms nearly perfect 12-sided or 24-sided crystals, known as dodecahedrons and trapezohedrons. Even rough specimens often have surprisingly smooth geometric faces. Another clue is their weight. Garnets usually feel heavier than ordinary rocks of the same size because of their relatively high density. Although early geological surveys identified promising garnet-bearing zones throughout the Ice River region, the deposits never developed into major commercial gemstone mines. The crystals were scattered, the terrain was extremely rugged, and transporting equipment into the mountains proved both expensive and difficult. As exploration shifted toward larger and more profitable projects elsewhere, Ice River gradually slipped into obscurity, becoming another forgotten chapter in Canada's mining history. Yet perhaps that is exactly what makes this place so exciting. It reminds us that not every geological discovery becomes a massive mining operation. Some locations remain valuable simply because they help scientists better understand how gemstones form deep inside our planet. In many ways, the knowledge gained from these forgotten deposits may be even more valuable than the gemstones themselves. Now here's a question I'd love for you to answer. If a forgotten mountain like Ice River contained beautiful garnets, but only in limited quantities, should those crystals remain exactly where nature placed them for future generations to study? Or should collectors be allowed to recover them before they disappear through erosion? There are strong arguments on both sides, so tell us what you think in the comments. Number 1, Yukon Emerald Prospect. Claiming the number 1 spot on our countdown is perhaps Canada's greatest gemstone mystery, the forgotten emerald prospect of the Yukon. For decades, this remote northern wilderness has fueled the imagination of geologists, prospectors, and investors alike. Unlike famous emerald regions such as Colombia, Zambia, or Brazil, Yukon never became a household name. Yet beneath its mountains lie geological clues that suggest nature may have been quietly building emeralds here for millions of years. Emerald belongs to the beryl family, the same mineral that produces aquamarine. The difference comes down to chemistry. Tiny amounts of chromium or vanadium replace other elements inside the crystal structure, transforming ordinary beryl into the rich green gemstone prized throughout history. But creating emerald is one of nature's most difficult balancing acts. It requires rare geological conditions where beryllium-rich rocks meet chromium-bearing rocks at just the right temperature and pressure. That unlikely combination explains why true emerald deposits are so rare across the planet. If you were lucky enough to discover rough emerald in the field, it probably wouldn't look like the flawless gemstones displayed in luxury jewelry stores. Natural emeralds usually contain tiny internal fractures and mineral inclusions, features that gemologists actually expect to see. In fact, a perfectly clean emerald is often viewed with suspicion because natural emeralds almost always preserve evidence of the extraordinary conditions in which they formed. Those tiny inclusions are sometimes called the gemstone's fingerprints, proving that nature, not a laboratory, created the crystal. Exploration teams working in the Yukon uncovered encouraging signs of emerald-bearing geology, raising hopes that Canada might one day join the world's leading emerald-producing nations. But the dream never fully materialized. The deposits proved difficult to evaluate. The terrain was among the harshest on Earth, and the enormous cost of building roads and mining infrastructure in such a remote region outweighed the uncertainty of what still lay underground. Gradually, exploration slowed, funding disappeared, and the prospect faded into history. Yet the story remains unfinished. Unlike many famous mines that have already revealed their greatest treasures, the Yukon still keeps most of its secrets hidden beneath untouched mountains and dense forests. Some geologists believe significant discoveries could still be waiting for future generations equipped with better technology. Others argue that the greatest treasure is the wilderness itself, and that some places are more valuable left exactly as nature created them. So I'll leave you with one final question. If you knew there was a real chance that one of the world's next great emerald deposits was hidden beneath Canada's northern wilderness, would you support exploring and mining it to reveal what nature has concealed for millions of years? Or would you protect the landscape forever and leave the mystery unsolved? There is no easy answer, and that's exactly why I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed exploring Canada's forgotten gemstone mines with us today, don't forget to subscribe, because there are many more hidden geological stories waiting to be uncovered. From the abandoned jade fields of British Columbia to the forgotten emerald prospects of the Yukon, we've seen that Canada's greatest gemstone stories aren't always found in active mines or museum displays. Sometimes they're hidden beneath remote mountains, silent forests, and places that time has almost erased from memory. These forgotten mines remind us that every gemstone has a story far more valuable than its price. They tell us about ancient volcanic eruptions, powerful mountain-building forces, determined prospectors, and the incredible geological processes that shaped our planet over hundreds of millions of years. And who knows? Some of these forgotten deposits may still be waiting for the next remarkable discovery. Now we'd love to hear from you. Which forgotten gemstone mine surprised you the most? And if you could visit just one of these locations, which would it be and why? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone, and your ideas often inspire future videos. If you enjoyed today's journey, please like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next adventure into the world's hidden treasures, forgotten mines, and extraordinary gemstones. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next discovery.